Have you ever considered how lucky you are to be a married couple? Imagine all the people out there that aren't educated by the school on how to find a life mate for themselves. Why don't you consider sharing your own story in 4K on YouTube? You never know, your love story might help someone discover how to find their own life mate. Okay, start over. How did you and Dad meet? I think you told me once your mom invited him over for dinner and that's how you got going.
There was a war in 1941, and it made the Fort Lewis was very heavy populated with the 33rd Division and that. Just really, I mean, there was soldiers every place you turned around downtown, all in uniform coming in here and that. I don't know why they didn't go someplace else, but town was full of soldiers and servicemen. So on Saturday night, then the church would have a street meeting on the corner by the cut rate drugstore on Washington and 4th. Yeah. And they'd have a minister giving a little sermon. The people from the choir, we would be there and sing and that, and have a regular street meeting and a small church sermon really for them and that. Then they would invite the servicemen to the refreshments and stuff over at them in the basement of the old YMCA. So that's where your dad came over there and we met him there and that. And then on Thanksgiving and that, my mother invited your dad and his two buddies and that were with him and that for Thanksgiving and that. So on Thanksgiving anyway and that. And they just kind of kept coming back after that. So he went home on a 3-day leave or went on a 3-day leave and left for the 3 days. But that was the last time he left. Then he just kept coming back.
So your mom kind of introduced you to Dad then, huh?
Well, just because he came to eat and that, we'd seen him down in the thing. I was singing in the choir and stuff and that, so that I was always at the street meetings on Saturday night and that for that. So it was just a gathering place in the YMCA and some place the guys came and went and that and getting them a snack and stuff and that, and it just turned into a thing then. Well, he kept coming back to visit and stuff. He arrived in Fort Lewis on his 18th birthday, 1947, came in on the train and got off at the main depot, the main gate at Fort Lewis and that, in the snow. So that's how he got here. Then on his 18th birthday, we were both 18 then, so, well, I was 18 in July, so we were both the same age except for 6 months and that. So we just kept coming back. We finally, we were just started dating and that, and then we were engaged and married 2 years later in 1949.
So you went together for 2 years before you got married, huh?
Yes, we were engaged part of that time, but didn't get married because he could be transferred at any time and that, and I knew I couldn't go with him and that because I had to stay and help Mom and that since she was old and fragile and had no income and stuff and that. Couldn't leave her, so the point was we just waited till he was out of the service and in the reserves, and then we got married. So
I know weddings can be expensive. I knew both you and Dad weren't rich. It's kind of interesting how nice a wedding you had. Did you save up from your job at the state?
yeah, I must have been that. And your dad, I made $150 a month, and your dad got $90 a month in the Army. In those days, that was good pay and that. So, and things were cheap, not like it is now and that. So, anyways, we had our wedding and that, and had my reception at my cousin Helen Cliff's house, and married in the Four Square Church, for it's burned down now, and that from some homeless people living in it and started a fire and that. So, but anyways, that's
So you only lived in apartments for like 6 months before you got your first house and moved it here, huh?
well before we. When your dad got a notice that he got recalled to Fort Knox, Kentucky in the reserve, and
Yeah, we're okay. Continue on.
he got his notice that he had to report to Fort Knox, Kentucky and that. So we looked around and we owned the property here and that. We bought the 2 lots here that were vacant and that. And we looked around and found a part of a motel they were cutting up and that down by the, what's that school down there?
Reeves?
Reeves School and that. So we looked into that, seeing about a section of it, and bought the section, and they put it on a big truck and moved it up here, and we put a foundation together and set it on there, and then went ahead to finish it up and do anything that had to be done so that we could live there and that. Then he got notice that he didn't have to go to Fort Knox. They transferred him to the Washington Reserve, but he never got called up for that. So, and then it took us about 3.5 months to fix the place, finish it off enough so that we could live there and that. It was just part of the building. We added to it after that, so, but we had the water and lights and stuff going and that so that we could live there and that and still be close for Mom and that. And because I rode the city bus to work every day and then came on home. While we were in the apartment, I just came completely up to check on Mom and that, then walk back down to the apartment. But we were there the 6 months, and by that time we were in the little house. We lived in the little house for 8 years, and in the last 2 years of that, we decided to build our big house and that, and worked on it for 2 years and that. Then we moved in here and rented the little house, and it's been rented ever since.
So I was always kind of amazed at how good a carpenters you were, and where you came up with the good ideas like the picture window and things like that. It's kind of amazing how skilled you were to build, but where'd you get the ideas for the design?
We looked around and bought books and stuff with the house plans in it. And that I have the house plan that has the blueprint, and we bought that blueprint and used it, except for a couple of exceptions and that. And we went to all the open houses they had and that to get ideas about the things that we saw that we wanted to use in ours and that. So we knew what it was. Like we liked the curved ceilings in the living room and that we saw someplace and that. And had the kitchen cupboards with the rounded corners and stuff built in Tacoma, and brought them down and installed them. She got different ideas, like I say, from the open houses, what other people had there and that. We could see it in reality, and whether we liked it or not and wanted to use it.
So I always thought Dad worked 8 to 5 and you 8 to 5, and then you both worked after work on the house. But I guess I was wrong. He worked like all different shifts, huh?
He worked 3 shifts.
So did you work on the house all by yourself and then him sometimes, or
No,
did you?
I worked on it in the evenings and that. He worked on it whenever he had the free time and that.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing you built this big of a house in 2 years. You must have put in at least 4 hours every day.
When we got home and that, I would go fix him supper and that. He would come straight over and start working on it and getting something done. Murty's husband, Russell, was a good carpenter and that, and he was always around to help and show him how to do this and do that. So, but your dad did the wiring and the plumbing and stuff.